Information fueled.
Opinion driven.
This is Nashville's Morning News with Dan Mandis.
And so, my fellow Americans,
we talk news.
7:05, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 89.7 WTN. Good morning to you, friends. Hope you are doing well. It is Wednesday, and that means we speak to my friend Brian Wilson every Wednesday at this time. Brian, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Dano. Good to be with you.
All right, so you texted me a story, and I got to tell you that I pride myself on being up on the news. I did not know the story about who has been vandalizing Teslas. So I'm going to let you do the honors.
Well, it's an interesting story now, and much of the reporting they describe this guy as he's an employee of Tim Walz, the governor of Minnesota. Well, that is technically true. I don't think he was, served on the personal staff or anything. But honestly, there was a guy in Minnesota who damaged a whole bunch of Teslas, keyed them all. 33-year-old Dylan Allen, $20,000 in damage to at least 6 Teslas. And they're going to let him walk. He's not going to do any time. He's going to do a diversion program.
Yeah.
He'll pay a little fine. He'll move on. Oh, my client is very remorseful for his actions.
This guy, they say Dylan Adams, a fiscal policy analyst for Walz's Department of Human Services, and they're just going to let him get away with it. And I'm sure that the powers that be within the Democrat Party will probably help him pay the $20,000 to fix all of these Teslas.
Yeah, sure they will. There'll be a GoFundMe account will be set up immediately.
You know that's coming.
You know that's going to happen.
You know that's coming.
The Minneapolis police are upset about this. They said, we did our job. This was apparently one of those, district attorneys or county attorneys. It went to the county attorney's office for consideration. And, we're just satisfied if he just does a diversion program.
Have you heard?
I think it's a hate crime, is what it is.
Have you seen the quote from the attorney? This is the quote from the attorney. My client is very remorseful for his actions and is beginning the process of making sure the victims are made whole financially. I don't believe that he is remorseful for his actions. I believe that he's remorseful because he got caught.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. He, if it had not been caught, he would have been just happy as a clam. He got caught, and now he has to look remorseful in order to go before the judge. But I think he knew full well. He's 33 years old. This is not a stupid kid.
Let me ask you guys a question. Is there a chance that this guy could be charged under federal crimes?
Well, I wonder about that because I think it really borders on something, he's doing it is it a hate crime? I think
that's
it's
what I thought.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I think it's possible that could happen.
Brian, I got to ask you, I don't know, did you watch the White House press briefing yesterday?
I saw just a little bit of it. What caught your ear?
So, and I mentioned this in the last hour. Tim Pool, the big podcaster, and I don't know if you saw the story, but basically he was in the new media seat. Now, Tim Pool is a big time podcaster. He's one of these guys, not quite on Joe Rogan level, but he's getting there.
Right.
He was in the new media seat, and he came out and he actually asked the White House press secretary, Caroline Leavitt, about the media that was in the room and how the media in this room, they have been responsible for all of these different hoaxes, right? I mean, he's really sticking it to the media. The Maryland Man hoax, of course, the Russian collusion hoax, and other hoaxes as well. And obviously the purpose of his question was to take digs at the New York Times and the Washington Post and all of these other media outlets that did engage in fake news and trying to assassinate Donald Trump's character and manipulate elections. I loved what Tim Pool did, and Caroline Leavitt, I played the audio a few minutes ago, Caroline Leavitt just said, we love diverse opinions in this room, and that's why you're here. I don't know about you, but there is something satisfying about somebody in that room sticking it to the mainstream media and the White House press corps?
Well, a lot of those reporters who work for those big organizations that you just mentioned, the New York Times, the Washington Post, the regular, suspects, they are sort of haughty, and they sort of look down their noses at everyone like they know better than everyone else. And I've been around some of these people in that briefing room. It's been a while, but I was there, and I don't think it's all changed that much. There's just a group of reporters who sort of, float in like, I'm from the vaunted New York Times, and everybody's supposed to bow and scrape. And this administration just doesn't do that. And I'm glad that they don't do that. I did not know about Tim Pool, but I did hear that my friend Larry O'Connor, who I used to work with in D.C., was in the White House briefing room, I think, yesterday. I mean, I really love the fact that people who normally would not be granted access to that briefing room for a briefing are being brought in. And because it seems to me there are real questions about, I think a lot of the mainstream media have a lot to answer for, and they've never answered for it. And I love the fact that other voices are now being brought into that room. It's refreshing.
One of the things that I like, too, is that someone like Tim Pool, and I don't know what his numbers are like, but I do know what Joe Rogan's numbers are like. And he gets, I think it's 20, 30 million, whatever views every single day. But it's a lot. And I do find it fascinating that you have these folks that are online and they're doing their podcasts and so forth. And their views, their viewers, their traffic and all that is like way above and beyond what your MSNBC and your CNN is getting.
No, absolutely.
And don't you think they know that as well? It does seem, Brian, that there are two parts of reality in this country. There are all of us, right, who see Kilmar Abrego Garcia as, an MS-13. He's a gang member. It was okay that he was deported. He belongs in jail and so forth. And then there's the very small minority of people in this country who actually believe that he is and I'm air quoting here, a Maryland man. Do you know what I mean?
I know it is the story that broke a short while ago.
Yes,
about Kilmar Abrego Garcia and that traffic stop in Tennessee. It is again baffling. Can I just say baffling to me that here you have a guy. Let me just run down the list of things we know about this guy.
Yep,
he's an illegal alien. He's had a couple of hearings. And they decided that indeed he was a potential MS-13 gang member, but it's okay. We're not going to send you back. You can stay in this country. I don't understand that at all. But he was an illegal alien. He's driving a car, an SUV that is owned by a known human trafficker.
Yep.
He said, well, it's just my boss. I'm just transporting some construction workers from Texas, all the way up to, I don't know, where was he going? I forget, but he's going somewhere.
Maryland. He was going to Maryland.
That's right, going to Maryland. And there were 8 people in the SUV. There was no luggage. This thing had all the hallmarks of a human trafficking case. And somehow when it got flagged and the FBI got involved in all this thing, when they put a stop in the computer, it shows up on a lot of different screens around the country if there's something associated with that particular person or that particular vehicle. And it showed up on the FBI files, and they called and said, let him go.
Well, I don't...
And why did they? They had no obligation to do that.
I don't know. See that? So I've got multiple issues with the actions of obviously not only Biden's FBI,
right,
but also the Tennessee Highway Patrol. Why did they acquiesce to? And maybe there's some legal stuff, some policy things that I don't know about. But you got a guy, Tennessee Highway Patrolman, right? The dude that makes the sign.
Right.
You've got a guy who clearly, you've got a guy who pretends not to speak English, but from the perspective of the Highway Patrol officer, he doesn't speak English. He's driving erratically. I'm sure this vehicle is a beaten down piece of crap. He's got, 8 guys in there that are, more than likely illegal. And the other part of the story is, from what I understand, they took down all the names of these guys. It was like a 2-hour traffic stop. They took down all the names, but the names were not forwarded on to any other authorities.
Yeah, the explanation for that was they handed everybody a piece of paper and said, write down your name. and your address, and they all put down this is Abrego Garcia's address because they didn't have an address.
Yeah.
And then when they got the piece of paper back, and the trooper said, "Well, I didn't bring any charges against him, so I didn't really press the issue. But when I got the piece of paper back, it was illegible. I couldn't read it, so I don't know the names.
Why would he let them?
There's nothing about this that makes sense.
Mind-boggling. It is
every time I get into a story and I say, this makes absolutely no sense, it means that there's something else about this that has not yet been revealed to us. And I want to know what it is. I want the truth about this. I want the State Patrol to come clean. Maybe there's a valid explanation for why they did this, but they're sure acting weird about it. And they're dragging their feet and telling the story of what happened on that traffic stop.
Yeah. I mean, what's happening is, you've got, as you often say, Brian, and said when you were on the air every day, it's the drip, drip, drip.
Yeah.
We're getting the drip, drip, drip every day or every couple of days. There's yet another story that indicates just how badly this, number one, it's starting to feel like a cover-up. And number two, how bad, obviously, the Biden administration proudly declaring their affiliation seemingly with MS-13 and Venezuelan gang members and so forth. And you also have the Tennessee Highway Patrol, which just let these guys go. And how horrific, Brian, is it going to be if we eventually figure out who these guys are, and one of them actually
turns out to be some kind of terrorist, right?
Terrorist, raped or killed a woman, somehow killed somebody, drunk driving, whatever it might be. And it would be a situation that could have been prevented if the Tennessee Highway Patrol would have done, in my opinion, what they should have done, which is taken this guy in, charged him, regardless of what the FBI says or did or wanted them to do, because, in my opinion, they had a responsibility to protect the people of Tennessee and the people of America.
That's right.
All right.
And look, there's got to be an answer, and it will eventually come out, but they need to just come clean on whatever happened there. This guy who owned the vehicle, his name is Jose Ramon Hernandez Reyes. And the HSI, the Homeland Security Investigation Baltimore Field Office, identified the car as one that had been used in trafficking operations. And apparently it popped up on their screen when the stop was made, so they knew about it. And also, what we know about this Hernandez Reyes guy who owned the vehicle, pleaded guilty to smuggling illegal aliens and was sentenced to 18 months in prison following 3 years of supervised release per the Justice Department. So this guy did hard time for human trafficking.
Yep.
He owns the car. Clearly, the bells and whistles went off in a lot of different places when this stop was logged into the system, because it shows up on FBI screens, it shows up on Homeland Security screens, reports are filed, and there was a 2-hour stop, and at the end of it all, you got 8 people, no luggage, a guy with no valid driver's license, and a vehicle that was well established to be connected to Homeland Security investigations had said it was connected to human trafficking. How in the hell do you let a guy like that go?
I've got more on this straight ahead, Brian. I'm 4 minutes late
I'm
for
sorry,
traffic.
I got carried away there.
It's all right. It's all right. The boss is out of town. 7:19, time to check the roads on WTN. 19 on Nashville's Morning News. As far as your weather goes, a high of 82 and possible thunderstorms. Appreciate you listening to Nashville's Morning News, where Brian Wilson joins us. Brian, I don't know if you saw this story, but it is one of my favorite stories of the day. The House Democrats, the House Republicans are telling them, if you'd like to go to El Salvador to have margaritas with Kilmar Abrego Garcia, we will pay for it. The Republicans are telling the Democrats, we will pay for it as long as we get it, streamed and photos and filmed and everything else.
Right.
So it's exactly right.
They are doing the stupidest stuff. I don't understand what's going on in the Democrats. It doesn't make any sense at all. I think they're just overwhelmed. I mean, you got a president now who got in there and said, I'm going to do this, this, and this, and he's doing the things that he said he was going to do. He's moving at such a fast pace, it's almost hard to keep up on a day-to-day basis with what is occurring, but a lot is going on, and in my estimation, about 90% of it is pretty good good stuff for our side, and I love it. But I'm telling you, they are just losing their minds, and it doesn't make any sense at all. How they are behaving. They're adopting these extreme positions that were completely rejected in the last election.
But you see,
I don't understand their strategy here. That didn't seem to be one.
Oh, Brian, you know, and what I said earlier in the 5 is that it's the knee-jerk reaction. If it's Donald Trump, then they are going to take the exact opposite reaction, and they're not thinking.
Perfect example of that is tariffs.
Yes.
There is tape out there, old videotape from back in the day, where Nancy Pelosi is on the floor of the House talking about, we've got to do something about China. Yep. We need to increase our tariffs. They're playing dirty. We're not doing enough. She was all for it when it was her idea. Mm-hmm. The moment it's Donald Trump's idea, well, everybody's against it. And that's just, I mean, they again, the old saying, Democrats would have no standards if it were not for double standards.
Well, that's exactly right. And by the way, I don't know if you've seen the futures today, but looking pretty good, as a matter of fact. And
I think it's going to be fine. Just everybody needs to take a deep breath on it. Can I tell you about one story, though, that I'm really excited about that nobody is reporting on?
Sure.
Yeah, I love to find that one little story. I say, now, hold on. That nobody's talking about this, but this is huge and has a lot of ramifications for what is on the horizon for all of us. What is the one thing that keeps a lot of people from driving electric cars? They perform well, but they're good for the environment. I think we can agree. Some people might argue about the batteries being a dirty technology, but generally, it is a positive thing for those who care about the environment. They are reducing tailpipe emissions. That's just a fact. There's a lot to like about electric cars, but what's the one thing we don't like?
I mean, I worry about hacking.
Well, I worry about getting on the road and running out of electricity and then having to pull in somewhere and charging for a couple of hours to be able to continue your trip. Yep. Listen to this. 5-minute EV charging is here. Ooh. Now it's Chinese technology. We don't have it here, but I mean that they have it means that it will arrive on our shores ere long. 2 of the world's leading battery developers locked into a technological race that brought charging time for an electric vehicle to just 5 minutes. Now that's how long it takes you to fill up your car with gas.
That's huge.
That would be a huge
game
changer for electric vehicles. It would be the thing that would allow, it would be such a major breakthrough that a lot of other people who say, I don't want an electric car, I don't want to get stranded somewhere, blah, blah, blah. Well, they may still have some concerns, but a lot of people, that was the big one.
Well, and now
I need more range.
Yes.
I don't want to wait on the highway for 2 hours while I charge my electric vehicle.
Now they got to get charging stations all across the country because that's also part of the dynamic. Interesting.
This is what Buc-ee's is all about. I've always thought that this is what Buc-ee's was all about. Eventually, when electric cars come on in a bigger way, and they will in time. Yeah. I don't think we're ready yet, but they will come along.
Are you aware, by the way, Brian, of the big controversy that we had here at WTN regarding Buc-ee's? I think it was a couple of years ago now.
No, I don't know. I love Buc-ee's.
So I said that Buc-ee's was a great truck stop.
Oh,
and
no.
I
They don't allow trucks.
I know. I triggered Matt Murphy. And so he and I engaged in some, Buc-ee's fun. So, you know what I found?
What?
In my, we're trying to clean some stuff out. I found a big yellow Buc-ee's coffee mug.
I have one. That's what I drink my water out of throughout the day.
Should I give that to Matt Murphy?
Yeah, you should. Just give it to Matt.
I think that's what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
Tomorrow when Matt Murphy comes in, there's going to be a big yellow Buc-ee's, brand new, hasn't even been used, a big Buc-ee's coffee mug that I'll be regifting to Matt Murphy.
Well, there you go. I mean, I love going to Buc-ee's. I stop every time. We just went down to Birmingham, stopped in briefly, and got you got your pulled pork barbecue sandwiches. I mean, the food there is good. It's clean. You can find the most interesting stuff at a Buc-ee's. It sort of is like, when I grew up, there was a place along the highway like that called Stuckey's.
Yes.
Remember Stuckey's?
Yep.
I don't think there's any Stuckey's left in America. If there are, I'm surprised. But this is sort of like Stuckey's on steroids.
Yes, it is.
Bucky's has the best bathrooms ever.
Oh, yeah.
Well, the bathrooms are great, but
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of the fudge and the coffee.
Yeah.
Like for me, my favorite Bucky's thing, fudge and coffee. Brian's apparently is you said the pulled pork.
Pulled pork sandwich. Good stuff.
Okay.
yeah.
Joan, what about you? Do you have a favorite food real quick?
Yeah, they have a whole bunch of really good sandwiches, but is it pulled pork or is it? I forget. One of their really
Brisket.
That's
Yep.
it. It's the brisket.
Okay.
and they talk to you and they sing and they're
Yeah,
wonderful.
they're happy people.
Yes.
And I'm telling you, they're packed.
Oh, all the time. All
Oh, yeah.
the time.
I just like that squirrel.
And the
It's
squirrel.
a beaver, not a
It's a
squirrel.
beaver. Yeah.
Oh, sue me.
Bucky Beaver.
Jeez, what's wrong with you?
Hey,
KGB?
I got to say thanks to the Wellness Institute for supporting what we do here on Wednesdays with Wilson Wednesdays.
All right, very good. Thank you, Brian. And we'll talk to you next Wednesday unless news breaks. And Joan Jones is here. Hey, Joan.
Yeah, so the Supreme Court is tilting toward parents' rights in an argument over LGBTQ story time. That's coming up here at 7:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.